And what we have going on this month is all about layering hair. And I'm square layering, I'm layering to an increase in length, all different types of layering patterns. And I wanted to go live. This is actually for my Sharp Scissors Society. And this is, as I said, part two in our layering series. Now, I labeled it 2 things to remember when you're layering hair, or 2 things to consider. Oh boy, I got some interesting comments going on. 2 things to consider when you're layering hair. And to me, those things are your elevation and then the line that you're cutting. So as we go into that, I would love to know where you guys are joining from. So just type in the chat where you're tuning in from, and I would love to welcome you. And let's just talk more about layering. So layering the hair is always when you're working either a uniform layer, kind of like what we learned in cosmetology school, got some Hawaii there, cosmetology school, where everything is a uniform layer. It's all the same length all the way around, 90 degrees from the head. So that is layering. Also, layering is when you work from short on the top to long on the bottom. It's a foundation for removing weight out of the hair. I've got some Portland, Oregon. I saw a Pullman. So some people joining me from my home state, which I'm in Spokane, Washington. So all the way on the West Coast, even though I'm on the East Coast teaching all the time. But okay, layering, back to layering. So this particular haircut, everything was pulled up at 90 degrees from the top of the head, and then the line was cut square. So we're going to be talking about square layering today. Whenever you place a square on a round surface, you're going to get a rounded shape. So when we pull the hair straight up off of the head, it creates this beautiful rounded layered shape. Now, the higher we lift the hair, the softer our shape will always be. The lower we make our elevation, the heavier the shape will be. So what I want to do for you today is show you the difference between layering square off the top of the head, which this cut is, and I'm going to go in and do just the right-hand side and change my elevation. I'm going to keep my line the same, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop my elevation so that this top hair now is it's not 90 degrees from the top of the head, and lowering that down, which will always increase our weight. And then I'm going to be cutting my square line into that hair. Now, this can be very scary because I don't know if you've ever cut a hole into your baseline right here over the ear, but I know I have. And so the shortest we can ever take our square needs to come from the highest point of the hairline. So if you just lift the hair up, you can see that that's right at the top of the ear. So if I take that section and I hold on to it, lift it up, as long as I don't cut my square any shorter than that, I will still have hair inside of my baseline. So that's a great way to always know that you're okay. Now when I did the square on the top of the head, you can see it doesn't even begin to reach. So I knew I was fine with that. So as I'm taking the hair and lowering the elevation, I'll be creating more weight inside of this hair. So you'll see the difference. So if somebody had, let's say, a narrower face and you wanted to create more fullness inside of your shape, you could drop your elevation a little bit and you'll create more fullness in through that top area. So I'm going to split the back. So we're only doing the right-hand side. Do you guys ever do anything like this where you experiment different on different sides of the head, whether not on clients, but on mannequins? I always like to see what happens when I change something, when I change the line I'm cutting, when I change my elevation. I love to know what's happening. I just had a question of what kind of comb I'm using. This is a YS Parks comb. This is number 335. And we do have these available on our website, seriousbeauty.com. And they are, I believe this size is $14.95. And you'll also find my angel blades there as well. So that's seriousbeauty.com in the tools section. Okay, so coming through, I've sectioned off the back, and I always like to start in the back. It's just my comfort zone. Do any of you start your layering patterns in the front, I wonder? I guess you would when you're doing more of a shag. I will start in the front, but most of the time I start in the back. Okay, so just working on this left-hand side, I'm going to be working pivoting partings in the back and then vertical partings in the front. So I'm just going to pivot around the back. Everything's going to be pulled 90 degrees off of the round of the head. So it's going to be lower than my original layering pattern. So coming through, using my guide from the top, so that square, the top of the square right here, and I'm lowering my elevation so we will develop more weight and width. So here we go. Coming here, I'm going to keep my line square and I'm just going to blunt cut. I'm not going to point cut. I want to be able to see this shape really happening. Someone says they love watching the magic happen. It's really cool to see different shapes that we create as hairstylists. We have such amazing power in our hands and in our ability to change lives, create different looks for people. It's pretty incredible. I was just talking with a friend recently, a man who I cut his hair, and he was saying he had been in a slump, and the haircut that I gave him restored confidence and really made him feel just like he was back, like he was himself again. And I thought that was just so awesome because it's not just women that we affect, it's people. We affect everyone with what we do. Okay, so that elevation is dropped. You can see where it was before, dropping that, which once again creates width. Okay, here we go. I can see my guide under there. And you'll be able to see from side to side the difference in this. So everything is coming up. So I'm cutting a square right in this area, but all of the hair is being over directed up into that. So whatever fits, I'll go ahead and cut. Okay, working around, I'm hitting this front area now. It's just very quick. And a very quick change can make such a big difference in the shape. Now I'm going to be at the ABS show, the America's Beauty Show in Chicago next month. I can't believe it's just about a month away right now. Okay, did you guys just see that? I lost my guide. I have to backtrack to find it. Don't ever be ashamed of losing your guide. It's something that always happens. Okay, somebody says, this is how I do my layers on clients. Yeah, it's just a great layering pattern and it works pretty standard pretty much all of the time. You just have to watch where you want to place your fullness. Okay, so back to the ABS show. I'm going to be doing a hands-on class, a short hair class. It's a 3-hour hands-on class. It's $300. Your mannequin is included, as well as a swag bag of some wonderful KMS products that we can use in the class. And that is going to be on Sunday, April 16th, I believe, whatever the Sunday is right then. And I'll also be doing 2 demo classes. So those classes will be sweet spot bob. So where do you place a bob on the neck so that it's the most beautiful spot? And then also fringe class. So I'm going to be teaching 7 different fringe techniques in, well, probably it'll be more like 5 because I only have 50 minutes. And so it's going to be fast and furious. We're going to bang it out. And those classes are complimentary. And both of them you can get CEUs for, so the continuing education units that some states need to have. Okay, so you can see that I've taken all of this hair, over-directed everything up. I have not cut into my baseline. Okay, so I still have my baseline. It's less dense because of the fullness and through the top, and we cut into that bottom. So the more that we continue to lower this square right here, so the more we continue to lower, the more we will cut off until it's basically all gone. My t-shirt, oh, I don't know where the t-shirt is from. It's that, what is it, Zadig and Voltaire? I got it at a little boutique here in Spokane. Okay, so now let's take a look at the difference between these 2 sides. No, I'm not going to the Toronto ABA. I am doing, someone asked if I was going to Toronto ABA. I am doing a on tour for KMS and Goldwell. I'm a global artist for KMS, and along with Goldwell, we are up in Toronto. Gosh, I wish I knew when. It's in April, and I don't know if there's any tickets or not left, but you can go to the Kao Salon Division, K-A-O, salondivision.com, and find tickets there for that. I'll be with Jacob Kahn, and we're doing a hands-on cutting class. So, okay, here we go. And you can see how this shape on this side, we have a little bit less fullness in the bottom, more fullness in through the top, and this one has a little more structure to the bottom. So you can see how that shape kind of cups in and then around. Someone just asked about LA. Our tour in LA didn't sell out, and so they did postpone it till October, but I will not be at that one because my husband and I are going to be in Italy for a month. So, okay, let's keep turning around. Hi, Jay Mahmood. You guys, if you don't follow Jay, you need to. Talk about a brilliant hairdresser. Okay, so we've got our side that our layering pattern was held up top here, so straight up off the top of the head. It maintains more fullness into the bottom. As soon as you start dropping that, so your elevation is lowered and we're cutting that square line, we're starting to cut into the bottom a little bit more. So you can see how the fullness is positioned up a little bit higher. So, a couple more things. As we are moving into the year, I've got the ABS show, and then I'm going to be live also teaching a hands-on cutting class in Columbus, Ohio, and that is on June, I get my dates mixed up, June 12th. And then I'm in Atlanta on July 8th and 9th. It's a Saturday, Sunday, 2-day cutting workshop. So it's going to be intense. And yes, I used a traveling guide. On this. So just to recap what we did, the haircut originally was 90 degrees from the top of the head, cut square. So that's the first thing you have to consider is your elevation when you are doing any type of layered haircut. The higher your elevation, the more weight you will remove in through the haircut. The lower your elevation, which we lowered this right-hand side down off of the round of the head, the top starts getting heavier, 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 and we cut more and more out of the bottom. So that's what we did for our switch in this shape. And so the two things you want to consider as you are doing a layering pattern is your elevation and then also the line that you're cutting. So you guys, thank you so much for joining me. If you're interested in my Sharp Scissor Society, it's $14.97 a month. And that is, we have a catalog of videos. There's about 60, 70 videos in there right now. And I go in and I explain and expand on the back pocket techniques that I do on my Instagram. So I go in and I explain how to do that channel cutting where you go in right at the scalp. I take you all through all of the techniques and you can watch them at any time at your convenience. So thank you so much.